Okay, I think we can begin, Prakhyath.
Hello everyone, I am Prakhyat Mathur, the moderator for this webinar, and I am a current scholar at Indian School of Public Policy and an upcoming executive for this strategy and transactions team of EY. First of all, I would like to extend my gratitude to ISPP and the esteemed panelists for making this happen, and for me as well as for the upcoming public policy professionals. I would also like to thank each one of you who has joined us for this webinar. And let's begin the unfolding of the world of public policy with ISPP and our LMs. So I will start with the introduction. The first panelist is Rhythm Bell. She is currently a manager at GDI Partners. She comes with 7 years of wholesome experience in public policy, from policy research to data analytics to impact consulting. She has worked with various profiles. Rhythm leads GDI's work on air pollution governance reforms with the Haryana government. Prior to GDI, Rhythm has worked in the domain of education in the state of Haryana. She has also done extensive work on monitoring and evaluation of life skills to identify scalable solutions of teaching life skills to Indian adolescents. Previously, she has also worked with the government of Punjab on COVID management and service delivery. Rhythm has pursued Masters in Economics from Gokhale Institute of Public Policy, and later she joined one-year flagship program of ISPP uh, from the batch 2020. Next panelist is Diksha Tiwari. Diksha is a public policy professional with extensive experience of working with various state governments in youth development, health, education, and behavioral science. Recently, she transitioned to serving as a sports policy advisor to the government of Bihar. Currently, she is a part of project management unit at the Bihar State Sports Authority as a part of the EY Sports consultancy team. A very new thing that even I heard. Prior to that, she has also worked with Center for Social and Behavioral Change and Punjab Innovation Mission. She was the part of ISPP's one-year postgraduate program 2021 batch. Our next panelist is Saurav Mishra. Saurav is serving as consultant to the Honorable Minister of Housing and Urban Affairs and Minister of Power, Government of India. He is also the Director of Community Engagement for the Alumni Association at Indian School of Public Policy. Prior to joining ISPP, Saurav pursued bachelor's in sociology and master's in rural management from Banaras Hindu University. He leveraged his further experience and worked with Pradhan, where he was engaged as executive in Ghagra block, Gumla district of Jharkhand. There, he implemented the National Rural Livelihood Mission and Swachh Bharat Mission Gramin. Saurav has facilitated sustainable livelihood, capacity building, and led a successful anti-witch hunting campaign, later institutionalized by the government of Jharkhand. Saurav Mishra was the part of ISPP's one-year PGP program, postgraduate program from 2022 batch. Our next panelist is Aditya Sinha. He is a public affairs professional with a background in research, strategy, and policy. He currently serves as a senior research analyst at We Communicate, a consulting firm, focusing on policy development and government relations. His educational journey and work in social work and economics has influenced his approach to public policy and strategy communication. Aditya was the part of ISPP's one-year postgraduate program from 2023 batch. I would again extend my gratitude to all the panelists for giving your time to us and for all the questions that I'm going to ask you. Thank you so much for joining us. Now we'll start with the questions. So first of all, the question is like, what actually inspired you to get into the field of public policy? What made you inspire to make a career out of the field of public policy? Because it is a very new thing in India. It is upcoming thing in India, and you have been in this field for a while now. So if you could just one by one share your inspiration to get into the field of public policy. Rhythm.
Thank you, Prakhyath, and hello, everyone. I think if I were to start with talking about my inspiration, I think it's to do the background that I come from, and then also I think the academic training that I've had. Having seen people in my family working actively in politics in India, I think that inspired me to also take up roles of social responsibility. And secondly, I think when you get your training in economics, you naturally become a very informed citizen of the country and also a global citizen. And I think that really inspires you to do something um, towards your nation. So that was precisely my inspiration. I think my lessons that I learned in my classroom during my college days was something that really inspired me to do something meaningful and contribute to India's growth and India's journey to 75 and then 100. Which is where I think my inclination towards working in the sector.
Thank you, Rhythm. Diksha, if you could also tell us how the academic training at ISPP helped you to follow your career trajectory to just make your career trajectory into sports and EY consulting firm.
Thanks, Prakash. Hello, everyone. So my journey has been interesting. Uh, I I come from a family of lawyers, and working and talking about government policies, everything has been a dining table conversation for me. And then post that, I joined Delhi University's program in political science. So I've been associated with politics as a whole from a very early age. So it made sense to get into something which is related to government. I have always been very curious about how governments function and how something as big as India is operating. So that is how I ended up coming to Indian School of Public Policy. I was the COVID batch, the famous COVID batch who never entered the campus of Indian School of Public Policy. But yes, we did the entire course online, and we were practically hooked to our laptops for 24/7. And I think that's how we also made really good friendships in the batch. My journey towards sports consultancy, I was the only one in ISPP to write a capstone on sports, actually. And that time, everyone struggled to find an expert in sports who could help me, guide me. And I still decided to continue writing my capstone on sports infrastructure. I'm lucky to actually put some bit of it in my work now. Um, so sports, I actually have been a national level basketball player, and I always wanted to contribute back. But finding something between policy, government, and sport was initially very challenging. So I started being a journalist in public policy. I did not pick up a sector, and I tried choosing areas where I can pick up skill that can be sector agnostic. So I started with startup and youth employment generation in Punjab with Innovation Mission Punjab. That actually practically exposed me to all kind of sectors. And then I joined behavioral sciences, Center for Social and Behavioral Sciences. So I actually used what I learned in Indian School of Public Policy in my behavioral sciences courses in actual policy making in Uttar Pradesh. So I think that transition helped me get into a sector specific role, which is health, but also it helped me understand that something as a skill like behavioral science can be used across. And then I finally transitioned into sports with EY, and I'm part of the sports consulting team here in Bihar. We have other centers in Meghalaya and Sports Authority of India also, but currently I'm based out of Bihar. So yeah.
That is quite interesting. Uh, if Saurav sir, if you could just also share your experience at ISPP and because you already come from a background of sociology and rural management. So what made you choose ISPP, and what do you think that what was the gap that ISPP helped in filling? Can you hear me?
Okay, so Prakhyat, hello everyone, first of all, and yes, am I audible? Am I audible? Hello.
Yes, you are.
Yes, you are.
Hi Prakhyat, am I audible?
Yes, Saurav, you are.
Okay, so I'll just switch off my video because I think there's a bad connection here. So coming to your question, what made me choose public policy? So I was in Jharkhand. I was implementing National Rural Livelihood Mission in one of the uh, poorest blocks, you can say, poorest blocks of India. There, I was working with the tribal groups. I was involved in
I think we have lost Saurav. Okay, let's continue our question with Aditya. So, Aditya, again, you said that you come from the background of economics and your interest lies in public policy. Then, what exactly inspired you to make a career out of public policy? And how did ISPP training at ISPP helped you in your career trajectory?
Uh, First of all, thank you, Prakyat, for having me as part of this panel. Hi, everyone. Uh, the question why I choose public policy. I guess it's something that isn't common for all of us. All of us come from a background of social sciences. Uh, Economics, as I see, it's not just a subject, it's how you practically implement it. Same goes with my course in masters that was in social work. As a student of social sciences, I have always looked at the society and tried to figure out as and where I can apply my particular skill set. Now, I gained on-field skills from social work. I'm still learning, but I learned how to think from economics. The concepts like opportunity cost or elasticity, they help you reason out how the other person sitting across you is going to react to a particular situation in a particular situation. Now that I know a little bit of what public policy is, I would say that when it comes to stakeholder management, these are the skills that should be ingrained in every public policy professional. So I can only connect the dot looking backwards from here, but public policy was somewhat of a eventual destination for me. Social work is something which I started with, but a few years down the road, saw policy sphere as the expansion of it. Doing a particular work, I mean, leave apart the social aspect of it, doing a particular work and trying to see it as to how it can be implemented on a larger scale, what is the impact, the effect that it is going to have. That is something that I still do as a policy professional. So choosing public policy on one hand was a career move upwards, but it was also a culmination of what my education was leading me towards. Coming to the second part of the question as to how ISPP helped me. Uh, ISPP, to put it in one sentence, helped me put everything into perspective. The 1 year that I spent at ISPP was a learning curve, and I entered with a few years of experience, but then I got to know that to be a policy professional you need to have much more than just mere experience. uh, some of the subjects that we studied there, game theory in particular, is something that I still employ in my work today. So let's say we talk about stakeholder management, and stakeholder management as in connecting with different people. You work across different sectors, how to bring everyone at the same table. Social work was the beginning, but public policy, as taught in ISPP, was how to navigate the interest of every stakeholder group that you have and to establish a common minimum program. Now, these words are quite simple, they slip off the tongue, but that took an year of training at ISPP to be able to, evaluate it, implement it, navigate it at a professional level. So ISPP was a 1 year long training program that turned me from a practitioner to a professional. That's my answer.
Mm, that is really, really, you have actually encapsulated the whole experience of ISPP. Even I have so much common to share with this. Rhythm, the next question goes to you. I'm really interested to know that you have worked with GDI partner. You have been working with GDI partners, and prior to that, you were with Samagra. So these are the firms that has always been working with the government as the major stakeholder. So how can you please describe a typical day in your job?
So a typical day in a governance consulting firm is where you spend your 9 to 5, sometimes even later than that in the department, working very, very closely with a mix of senior and junior stakeholders on day-to-day basis, where while your day might start with interacting or like going in a big meeting with an additional chief secretary of a given department in a state to a director, and then end up with, let's say, a data entry operator in any given department. We're trying to just execute and implement something. So, or vice versa. Then once the department gets closed, there are a set of series of internal meetings that you have to close on, where you're actually as a team coming together to problem solve, to think on what are the solutions against day-to-day and or even like short-term, long-term problems that you're facing on your work streams and on your program. And that is something that I do with my team now. So that is the second part of the day. And then it ends with the team generally closing certain outputs that they have to send, which would be then required for, let's say, the next day of meetings to drive their work streams forward. So that's a typical day in a governance consulting firm. I see Aditya smiling. Perhaps he's just resonating a lot with it. But yeah, that's the crux of it.
Sounds exhausting as well as exciting at the same time. So, my next question is for Diksha. So, you are also working with EY as well as the government of Bihar. So, what are the biggest challenges you face in those sectors where these consulting firms are trying to get into? Like sports is one of the sectors that even I never heard of, right? So, what are the biggest challenges you face in your work, and how do you tackle them?
I would still take a moment and describe my day, because I usually enter to a stadium where every day I'm introduced to a new sport and everyone is coming in. One day it's volleyball, one day it's rugby, one day it's football. So I think that kind of is a very motivating factor. Whatever I create in the morning, everything gets implemented by the evening, and you can actually see the changes happening. So on my right side, after the seminar, I can show how beautifully people are playing on a basketball court. My office overlooks a basketball court, which is a dream to have. But yeah, this is how working in a sports authority in a stadium feels like. Now coming to the challenges that we usually face in working with the government. One is, of course, the stakeholders, right from the Director General of your department to multiple other departments that cater into something like sports is very cross-sectional with education, with health. And I think, yeah, the crux of public policy, as I realize, is stakeholder management, is getting work done, is getting those files from XYZ department to you, which I'm telling you is a very difficult task. And of course, your day is filled with writing letters always. So I think, the challenges are to bring all the stakeholders on one plate. In terms of consultation, I am very new to a big organization, something like EY, and you just feel like a small fish. All you see is people doing and achieving so much. But the GPS sector, which is the government and public service, everyone you can resonate to with the work, because they're across India. The scale that they provide is different, but you still feel a little disconnect from everything that's happening, because I joined directly as at the client side. So I think that challenge still exists, that you still figure out your way and make your identity, even though you're doing something different. It just doesn't resonate that well. But working with government itself is a big challenge. So people who are planning to come in, be prepared, because the crux of working with the government is also uncertainty. Uh, I'm in Bihar, and of course, politics also influence a lot of my work. And in any state, even in UP, I think any change in politics and the agenda that government brings in, that also brings in a lot of uncertainty in you. Your director might change, someone might get transferred who you actually share a really good bond with, and you're going towards creating something different. You have convinced 10,000 people that let's do this, and suddenly next day morning you realize that the person have been transferred. So all that challenges are real. All that challenges do exist. And I think all of us find some way or the other to tackle these challenges. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Diksha, for sharing that with us. Saurav sir is again joined with us. Sir, if you could just explain your day as a consultant to a union minister, especially, and also I would really want to ask you this question that how change in government or change in minister changes the work culture around the ministry.
I mean, Prakhyat, coming to your first question, what my day looks like every day. So, basically, serving in the office of the minister deals with multiple things like, I mean, meeting with the stakeholders, looking after the calendar of the engagement, and preparing drafts, preparing whatever the mission is doing, the status of the various missions in the ministry. uh, Also giving you my own input that what are the challenges being faced in the ground by urban local bodies or in any state, or let's say if we have challenges in coordinating with some other ministry. Also, we prepare policy briefs, we prepare reports, thematic reports based on, I mean, mostly our work is I mean, restricted to the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs only. And yeah, and sometimes we accompany honorable minister sir to the various events. uh, so that is how I deal every day. And coming to your, what was the second question?
Like when the government changes or the minister in power changes, and what
So I think, in my opinion, the kind of work which we are doing, it doesn't really depends on the person, rather than it has really to do with the chair. I mean, the position we are serving. So it hardly makes any difference, because I mean, if we talk about the party is the same. Only the person has changed. Some flexibility in terms of work culture, some changes in terms of the methodology in communication. So those are minor changes, I can say. But in terms of work, if I see a macro picture, I don't see a change. I mean, my life is the same as it was a few months before. So yeah.
I would also like to highlight here that I had the privilege to intern under the mentorship of Saurabh sir. That's why I'm calling him sir again and again because I
No,
have
that's
interned
okay.
under
You
him.
can call me by my name. It's okay.
That's absolutely fine, sir.
And I mean,
So,
you really did great in terms of working with us. I mean, we also got to learn a lot from you, because you people bring fresh ideas, you bring fresh perspectives, because sometimes we face brain fog after doing so a lot of work, being engaged in multiple things. So yeah, it was pleasure working
thank
with you, Prakyat.
thank you so much, sir. Thank you for your words. Aditya, I would also want to ask this question to you that uh, apart from government clients, we communicate also deals with private clients in consulting. So, what are the challenges you face in that domain, like dealing with the private clients?
Uh, the biggest challenge is actually also one of the best points of working here. I'll elaborate on it. See, the biggest challenge is that your case you work, it differs from client to client. Say on day one, you are working with a client that operates in the energy sector. So the kind of work that you're going to do for that company is going to be completely different to say a client that works in the beverage sector. And the biggest challenge is that you have to master one sector after other in a very short span of time. You have to be ready for client meetings. I mean, as Rhythm put it better, the entire day goes from one meeting to another and preparing for the other one in the between two. So that is one of the biggest challenges. I mean, with our educational background, with a specialization in one subject, we have a particular mindset, which does, I will admit, help you to adapt to a particular set of clients. Say, if I'm working with a client from the financial sector, I show a natural interest in their work because somewhere on some level I resonate with what they do. At the same time, if a client comes from the, say again, beverage sector and says that they are having some issues on sustainability, so it's a complete switch from finance to sustainability, although both are equally interesting. But that is, I'll say, one of the biggest challenges, because you cannot walk in into a meeting being half prepared, half out of ideas. So having to figure out what questions the client is going to ask, having to figure out who the person concerned would be to answer those questions, how you would draw the line from your narrative to your outcome. or as I can see, Rhythm is relating to it. So that is one of the biggest challenges that we have to face.
Thank you so much for sharing this with us. Uh, Rhythm, the next question is for you. I just wanted to ask that in your whole journey in public policy, what are those uh, top soft skills and hard skills that you think are very much critical for being a successful public policy professional?
Yeah, thank you for the question, Prakhyath. I think in my career, and these are like typical generalist consulting skills, I would say, but hold a huge importance in your career. I would quantify them as four skills. One is problem solving, where, you know, in this kind of an environment that we work in, every day a new problem will be thrown at you. It could be as big as and as ambiguous as you want to reform the education system of the entire state, and it could be as small as that this particular file is blocked in this particular office. So, and you'll have to always be on your feet to and work with a solution mindset. If you kind of hold on to problems too hard, and if you kind of just like take on them very like, with a problem mindset, and you're not able to think through solutions quickly, there is no way you can thrive in this kind of an environment. So I think like problem solving is something that is very, very important for you to gain. And more than that, having that solution mindset to also solve those problems is very important. Second, I would say stakeholder management. I think each one of us have kind of harped enough on the importance of it. However, I will not go so I will not go too much into it. But I think one thing that I can say is that how I look at stakeholders is personally from the point of view of building relationships and not getting work done. So it's also about considering them as partners in the journey to make impact, and not building transactional relationships where you meet one stakeholder one day and then you didn't have work with them for 10 days, so you don't see them at all, and then next on the 11th morning again you kind of turned up because you had like some work. So it's important to stay in touch, and it's important to build that connection, so that like that relationship strengthens as you work with them, and they see you as a thought partner than somebody who's just like driving work for them or getting work done. So that trust also is important as a part of the relationship in the stakeholder management, which I think is very important. Third, I would say communication is extremely important, because like Aditya mentioned, right, like you have to think through the whole, how do you transition from your narrative to the impact that you want to bring. So like that requires a lot of thinking, preparation, and strategic communication with your stakeholders. So, and that happens in two ways. One is through your meetings where you are like leading the meeting yourself. And second is also like certain collaterals, deliverables that you'll create for your users and stakeholders to understand you. So I think that is extremely important, I would say. And fourth is, I think, individual leadership, where, until unless you're not managing a team, but if you're able to manage yourself, given Diksha mentioned that there's a lot of uncertainty that you live with. So if you're able to manage yourself, keep calm in like difficult situations, and still navigate through those situations through stronger solutions, I think that is where like you're actually able to champion the ecosystem, and then even build a successful career for yourself as well. So to me, like these are the four skills I would say which are extremely, extremely important if you want to build a career in impact consulting, given my experience is limited to that, but I'm sure they're transferable skills to all domains across subdomains across public policy.
Thank you so much, Sridham. I think I'll also take forward this learning that the stakeholders are partners in journey. I think it's absolutely important for us or the upcoming professionals to learn that as well. Diksha, I would like to ask the next question to you. Like there is a lot of debate and confusion around the field of public policy, like if one should become a journalist in the field or a specialist. As you are following something specializing in a specific field, like that is sports, right? So what is your take in this debate or confusion, like journalist versus specialist?
Okay, thanks for the question. Um, I started my journey with the idea that I want to be a journalist and be sector agnostic. and figure my way out to be into sports. Initially, the public policy domain itself is very niche right now. You need to create your own opportunities, you need to create your own windows, and even you don't know by tomorrow if that job would ever exist or not. So, having certain hard and soft skills under your belly is always important because you don't become a sector expert in one day, right? You will have to get into that sector. But if you decide to become a sector specialist, you cannot go without skills. So both of them go together. I would suggest someone who is just joining into the field of public policy, work on your skills. No matter which sector, which department, which kind of role you are, your skills would be the foundational, irrespective of where you land. The second, follow your heart. Follow your heart in terms of choosing where you want to be, because sitting till 9 in a government office is not all days fun, right? You are passionate about being in a particular sector, that will fuel you. So find your fuel. Otherwise, you won't be able to enjoy this entire process of public policy once you get into it, because there are multiple layers. You can't just come with the idea that, oh, you want to do research, you want to just write policies. No, you have to first understand how the entire structure works to write a policy. So yeah, basic skills. Learn how the government works. That is the base in every area you go. No matter you meet the CM or no matter you meet the frontline worker, it has to be you understanding that skill. So being a public policy professional, the base is knowing how the government works, how a file moves, how who reports to who. Otherwise, you can't make an implementation plan as basic as who reports to who. That is the underline of making any strategy work, and most of the time you are making strategies. So yeah, find your fuel if you're deciding to pick up a sector. But someone who is just entering a public policy field, if you're lucky enough to find a sector and a job where your heart lies, then great. But pick up your skills, pick up how government works. I think that are the core areas, and then you can choose to be sector agnostic or choose your sector. The skills are the basic part.
Thank you, Diksha. I would also like to extend the same question to Saurav sir, because he has been in the ministry for a while now. So, sir, what do you suggest, journalist versus specialist in the field of public policy?
I mean, see, Prakhyat, I come from a rural management background. I worked in rural areas for a rural program, and now I have completely transitioned into urban sector after my public policy degree. So, I mean, most of the points were covered by Diksha. Whatever she said, I completely agree to it. Uh, but here in government, both experts and journalists both have their own values, both have their own jobs to complete. For example, here we have bureaucrats who are at the director level, at the joint secretary level, who are here to make clear decisions, very important decisions. They are journalists. I mean, some of the joint secretaries, I know they come from, somebody is from coal, somebody transitioned from education sector, now they are working for the housing and urban affairs. But I also know a few experts who are at the back of the missions, who are supporting the states, and they are expert in various areas like sanitation. Some are experts in housing. Some are experts in the infrastructure. So, uh, in my opinion, in my experience, both journalists and experts have same value in the government. It's up to you what you choose to be. Of course, it takes time to for you to call yourself an expert, and also it takes time to be a journalist also, because you need to tap everything and every knowledge you. Because see, I was working with the rural development initiative few years back. Right now, since past 2 years, I am working with the housing. I don't know where I'll be tomorrow. I have to be very open to learning and very flexible in that terms. So I think, and as the time is passing, I'm towards becoming a journalist. But I would also I also tell this to my interns also, that you have to be jack of all trades here if you want to work here. You have to be jack of all trades, but you have to master one. So I think I'm just going to see that in which sector I'm going to master. But yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Aditya, and the next question is for you. Like, if somebody is going to start their journey in public policy or thinking of starting a journey in public policy, what is that one advice that you would like to give?
If you're narrowing it down to one advice, I'll kind of make it a generalist one
Mhm.
as opposed to a specific one. My advice will be go easy on yourself. I mean, it's a very general advice, but go easy on yourself. A lot of the time, you're gonna feel that imposter syndrome. You're gonna be surrounded with people who know so much more than you, and you're gonna wonder, do I even belong here? But believe me, you have a value because you are in that room. If you didn't have, you would be in a completely different meeting. So go easy on yourself. And at the end of your first year, you're going to be in a much, much better place than where you started from. So no, have patience and have self-confidence. That would be it.
Thank you, Aditya. Thank you. I'll extend the same question to Rhythm. What is that one advice that you can give to somebody who's starting or planning to start the career in public policy?
I think on the lines what Aditya mentioned only, but I would say like guys, be patient. And you know the sector bears fruits only slowly for you. What I mean by saying that is that you might be growing your professionally and individually very very fast, but there would be days in 6 months and maybe in a year that you would have not seen impact, right? Like the idea that we come with into the sector where we are saying that you know you will change the lives of the citizens, you will impact those lives of the citizens, and that's perhaps possible that you might have not seen that in 6 months or 1 year. And that is when the clock starts running for you guys, and you know you start thinking that okay, maybe I should switch my job, I should do something else, this is not fruitful enough, and like okay, maybe I should just move to private equity, or maybe I should just like do finance, right? Like that's where I would just say like I would just say be patient. Impact does not, like Rome was not built in a day. So that's something that you'll have to stick to if you want to build, trying to build a sustainable career in public policy and social impact.
With this, my questions are over, but we'll move forward with the audience questions. Thank you so much for sharing everything, your experience and your insights. We'll start with the questions of the audience. The first question is, can someone from maths background be eligible to pursue his or her career in public policy? If yes, how? Anyone can take that question.
I am certainly from not a maths background, so I would skip this question.
So, what was the background again? Pardon the question.
Maths. Maths.
Maths.
So can someone from the maths background be eligible to pursue his or her career in public policy?
Actually, someone from a maths background would be more than eligible to pursue a career in public policy because we deal a lot with data. And lot, I do mean a lot with data. And if you're from a maths background, say you are good at calculus, you have a fundamental understanding of what integration is and why is it used to represent certain values. So that is a unique data set that you can bring to the table. Add to that a little bit of economics, which ISPP does when we talk about economic forecast or economic modelings. I mean, you have that, you are an asset in yourself. Believe me, that is some experience that I'm speaking from. So if you don't only have to have maths, you also need to have some practice of maths. No, you need to be understand the data. You need to be able to understand and convey the same to the person sitting front opposite. So yes, a person who has background in maths is more than suitable to have a career in public policy.
I think I can just
Also, I
add
would
what Aditya is saying for people from diverse backgrounds. I think there is no particular subject specialization that the sector is today seeking. I think what the sector is seeking is certain set of skills that you can bring to the table, and I think I previously mentioned about them. And if not that, then I think a strong intention to do something in this space and create that impact is also valued a lot for young professionals and freshers especially. So I don't think so somebody has to worry too much about whether they have studied geography or whether they've studied math. It's just about what you bring to the table for the organization you want to work with and how you communicate that during your interviews.
Also, I would
I'll
also like
also
to
just
emphasize
add
on.
one small point. Layer your skills, no matter where you come from. Policy is for everyone. Whatever you learn, whatever you get, just layer it with practical skills, and you will be an asset. Uh, you can be an asset, a consultant to a statistic department also. Every state has one. The center has one. Every policy is everywhere. Everything comes under one or the other department. It's just that, again, how Rhythm said, just get what you can, and just layer your skills. That is how you can fix in. Everyone has space in policy world.
So I would also like to emphasize on one thing, that our current batch, like my cohort, has architectures, scientists, people coming from science backgrounds, people coming from humanities, with career gaps, and all of them has this one thing in common, that is like they have some kind of a passion to get into public policy and join somehow the field of serving people. So it does not matter from which background you're coming. Public policy is for everyone. That's what our esteemed panelists are also sharing. So yeah, the next question is knowledge of data and political science important to work or study in policy domain?
You come with anything, you'll find a space. You just have to have a holistic approach towards learning. If tomorrow I have to deal with something economics, then you learn it with Go, and face the challenge. It's a holistic field. You can't, even if I come and say that I come from a political science background, I do not understand politics every day. It is just difficult. You have to follow news. Similarly, if tomorrow something physics comes in, you learn with Go. There is no other way to go about the work that you do.
The next question is, which type of organization can influence the policy the most? Think tanks, consultancies, or any other type of organization?
I would say Saurabh is the best person to answer this.
I think it's a good question actually, because it's not just about who is influencing more. It's always about how convincing those environment is, because ultimately it is the government who is going to bring that legislation on the table and make that policy legal, right? Because a good policy is that policy which can be enforced. If it cannot be enforced, it cannot be implemented, that's a bad policy, right? So ultimately, it is the whole and sole decision rest with the government. But yes, I feel that the associations, the think tanks, they help a lot. They contribute. I mean, more than 80% in influencing a policy or framing a policy, because uh, before any policy is drafted by the government, there are some consultative meetings, there are stakeholder meetings where people come, and government even post questions on the websites before framing something, before coming out with some mission or a scheme, right? So always there is a consultation of the citizens, also there is consultation of think tanks, there is consultation of academicians, right? So I think it depends what kind of policy it is. If it is a policy related to cellular something, so although mobile association and cellular association, they'll be pushing it forward. If it is something related to data, although electronics and computers and everyone will be interested in, right? If it is about the farming policy, fertilizer policy, so all the chemical companies will be pushing it forward. So it depends.
The next question is for Saurav sir, that how can public policy help one in rural advisory service? And Could you explain qualitative research as an option? Are skills like Python absolutely necessary in that?
I mean, particularly talking about rural advisory, I mean, you can be a consultant in the Ministry of Rural Development, and if you have these qualities of data analysis and everything, so that's an add-on. Uh, I mean, Diksha also explained it in a well manner. You should be layered, right? The skills and everything should be layered. So yes, it will be always helpful if you have a degree in rural management, because I think it's mandatory now for consultants. If you are applying for a consultant position, you have to have a master's degree in that particular field. So I mean, go for, if you are particularly interested in rural development, go for a good institution and have a degree, master's degree, and then of course, yeah,
Thank you,
why
sir.
not?
The next question is for Rhythm. In order to make a career in impact consulting, what kind of internship opportunities one should look for as an undergraduate student?
Yeah. So Prakhyath, I think if you want to make a career in impact consulting, like I mentioned, right, where the four skills that are very important, which are your problem solving, communication, stakeholder management, and leadership. So I think it is not about where you work, which particular organization. I would say any organization that you work with, you have to be very conscious of what that internship enables for you, right? Like a lot of times we go behind big brands that this is where I've interned. And we might just be okay doing like data entry work in a big organization. My take is a little different on something of this sort, where I would say that as interns or as young professionals in your career, if you really want to make career in impact consulting, you should be more conscious of choosing the kind of opportunities and skills your internship organization is enabling for you. And, you know, that is something that you can then strongly talk about in your interviews when you actually sit with consulting firms. Is something that I would say. And I don't want to go into naming organizations, but I think more consciousness is required at the end of professionals in terms of what is the scope of work as an intern that they're going to be picking up, and what are the skills that they're likely to build through those 2 months during their internship.
Thank you. Uh, the next question is how consultants are different from those who are working in NGOs. Anyone can take this up.
I can take this up. So, in my experience, I think when you work with state governments, you also work with a lot of partners in the ecosystem, and there are a lot of organizations who are doing a great job, you know, in terms of implementing some of the state initiatives. And some of the great NGOs that we know of, you know, are there. Like I think Pratham has made a big name for itself as an organization, as an NGO, and there are many others who you would be necessarily working with when you're working with governments. I think some of the differences that exist is definitely financial differences. I think like consulting firms have the capacity to pay you a lot more than NGOs. So that is, I think, one. So if that is not something that you're seeking, and you just want to do like good social work, NGOs always exist as an option, as a very good option to work with. Second, I think there's a lot more structure to how consulting is done, you know, in general. And this is nothing against NGOs or anything, but it's just a different style of working in consulting firms where you'll do a lot of top down problem solving. You'll have a method to doing stakeholder management. You'll also have method to how you communicate with stakeholders. So a lot of processes exist internally, which I think might or might not exist in NGOs. But there's a lot more structure or method to the madness, I would say, in consulting firms than it would otherwise exist in any other organization for that matter. And that differentiates consulting as an industry.
Very really detailed answer. Thank
I
you.
just like to add one more point here. I was working with the NGO setup before I joined a consulting firm. Uh, with NGOs, you are working for a cause. Mostly you're limited to a particular sector or you are working in one particular part of a policy. Either you're helping implement, either you're helping it develop one part of the policy streamline. But when you're working in consultancy, you approach a problem more holistically because you're mostly more nearer to the whole spectrum of policy making. So yeah, the range is different. NGOs are mostly funneled, whereas consultancy, I think, gives you a larger perspective towards the entire process of policy making.
Thank you so much. Uh, the next question is like, do you think this is a good option for an ex-UPSC aspirant? Public policy as a career. Do you think it's a good option for
Prakhyat,
an
I think you will be the
ex-UPSC?
best person to answer this.
Okay, I think I would say absolutely yes. It is the nearest way to work with the government, and when we prepare for civil services examination, we always want to join the government, be the part of the government, and I think I was at the right time where public policy was just starting as a career in India, and soon I'll be joining EY in government and public sector consulting. So yeah, I think if you want to continue to work with the government or somehow associated with the government, then public policy is the field for you.
Welcome to EY, Prakyat. I'll just also add a little bit. I did UPSC training for an year. I never appeared for the exam, but I did the training. As everyone was mentioning, you need to have the ability to connect the dots. I think UPSC gives you, when you study for UPSC, you study range of subjects, and just the analytical ability to connect the dots puts you way ahead in the kind of requirements this job possess. So if you're an UPSC aspirant, I think it's a very good fit because you have a base spectrum of understanding. You just need to have the skill to connect the dots.
Adding on to that, I think studying all the subjects, specifically the Indian polity part and the administration, it really gives you an edge when you understand the system better, uh, as compared to the people who do not know the structure of the government. So yeah, coming from UPSC background in public policy is like a blessing. So next question is, with someone being a fresher in this field with a background in finance and economics, how can we give our best in public policy while studying at ISPP?
Coming from a background of finance and economics, that is, and
Yeah.
I'll reiterate myself, a very good place to be. See, we often lead with the question, will I get a good job? I am a fresher. You don't have to look at it so negatively. Being a fresher is also an asset. There are companies out there who are looking for freshers because, as Diksha has said it better, that you come with a fresh perspective. Uh, Being a fresher with economics and finance, you can straight away at ISPP, no, you can straight away go to SG or Dr. Lada and ask for their guidance. Dr. Pranab Sen too is an excellent guide at ISPP, but when it comes to the person in question, the one who has raised this question, I would say go in with the understanding of statistics too. And if you can work on data visualization, then you are putting together a unique set of skills which generally takes 2 or 3 people to cover. If you're good at finance, if you're good at economics, and you know how to visually present that data, then you are already an asset for any organization that you go into. No, uh, these subjects, they require a certain amount of discipline to study. The amount close to 3 or 4 years of study if you want to be good at it. So when you sit for an interview, despite being a fresher, the person interviewing you does see these things. He or she will see that even though you're a fresher, you have mastered subjects that require practice and continuous work. So being a fresher is not always a bad thing. You go to a company, you go free of biases, you go with a fresh set of perspective. You'll be looked upon as the person that, okay, this person can come up with new ideas. So you need to look at yourself, through that lens. Yes, sir.
I'll just add again here. I was among the youngest people in my batch when I joined, and one thing that ISPP gave was connections, because you are studying with. I had 29 people in my batch. You might have bigger. All of them will be placed at certain positions in the government. You are already getting a very strong network that will always help you as a fresher. All the people who came with good experience guide me till now. They became really good friends. They work in different states. I have a house in every state. So I think just being a fresher in ISPP is a very big asset, because the person who was the most experienced was 12 years of experience, and I know someone who has a 12-year experience in public policy, which itself is a baby in terms of profession. So I think when you come to ISPP, network, make good friends. And network these days are usually considered in a very negative term. Don't make transitional relationships. They don't work in the government. Make good friends. They will always help you in this sector. And as a fresher, it's just a bonus.
I would also like to add on a few things. Like, I think ISPP is a gateway to a lot of opportunities, specifically networking opportunities, as shared by Diksha and Aditya. So you will meet such important people in the government as well as in the industry at ISPP. And then the academics part is one of the most refined in at ISPP. I haven't seen such courses or such professors in the most of the universities that are offering the course in public policy. So coming like, for example, Pranav Sen, who is the first and former chief statistician of India, him teaching us macroeconomics is itself a privilege. Then professors like Subhashit Gangopadhyay teaching law and economics to us. So some subjects and these professors combined with the networking opportunity, I think ISPP is one of the best place to be in, be it as a fresher or be it as a somebody who has some experience in any field. Next
So
question
Prakash,
is,
I'm so
yes, sir.
sorry for interrupting in between. I have to leave for some urgent work right now. So thanks
Yes, sir.
for the companionship here in the panel. Thank you everyone. It was really nice listening all of you,
Thank you
especially
so much, sir, for
Aditya,
joining us.
Rhythm, and Diksha.
Thanks, Saurabh. It was nice to meet you.
Haha, sure.
Thank you,
We'll see you
Saurabh.
guys soon. Bye.
So the next question is, what should one prefer, 1 year program at ISPP or a 2 year master's in public policy?
I think all of us will have something to contribute in this. But Rhythm, I think you should go first. We have been speaking for too long.
Tricky question for me to answer, Prakhyath, to be honest. I think I've done both and I've seen merits of both as well. So a master's, I would say, is a more deep learning. And especially if like talking about subject like economics, if that is a lot more deep learning, I would say, on the particular subject, and touching different subdomains under that particular subject. So if you're wanting to build a strong just acumen on one given subject, masters might also be a good choice. However, I think I've had like a wonderful experience at ISPP. For me, and I could see like for a lot of students, they were actually struggling with those subjects. But for me, that in terms of the subject matter, while it was not very, I would say, challenging, but like I think Aditya mentioned in the beginning, it brought a lot of perspective for me to just think about problems from a solution lens as well. So I think that happened very, very well for me. And I think when you start getting that perspective, what it builds for you is a lot of readiness to immediately get into the industry. I mean, it's really dependent on what you're seeking. And if you want to like just become industry ready in terms of picking up jobs with a quick learning of public policy and then picking up jobs into the sector, I think ISPP is definitely a good option. but masters has its own value in terms of learning the subject more deeply, be it any subject, I would say. So yeah, I mean, it's totally what an individual is seeking.
Thank you so much. So, as we are out of our time now, I would like to take the last question. The question is addressed to me, so that's why I kept it for the last. So, somebody is asking that they would like to know my journey to EY and if my gap years affected the process and how important is networking. So my journey, yes, I have 5 years of gap year, but I was in between working with few member of parliaments while I was preparing for civil services. uh, when I decided to pivot towards public policy, I was so desperate to work at each and every domain, each and every space that I ended up filling form for every opportunity that was coming in my hand, be it event management, be it political parties. And within, I think, 1.5 years of my journey in public policy, I am privileged enough to have the experience of working with one political party, two MLAs, one union minister, two member of parliament, one think tank, and one NGO. And recently, I also concluded my internship with the Godrej Industries Limited, that is one of the biggest conglomerate in India. So, combining it with the academic credibility of ISPP, I think as the combination, it really helped me to sail through the EY process. And I was able to put up my narrative in a bold manner. I was able to explain, I was able to prove that I am uh, competent enough to join a big firm like EY. I think they saw that in me, and that's why I'll be joining EY as my full-time role. How important is networking? It is absolutely important. As soon as I came out of the process of civil services, where we are told to isolate ourselves for years and just to just to study, corporate or private sector total, I would say it really works on networking. So build your network, work on your LinkedIn, work on your profile, read about things, learn about things, go and talk to people, text people, uh, just build your network. They will really help you. And as Diksha said that do not build network on transactional basis, but make them partner in your journey, and you'll be good to go. So with this, any last word of wisdom from any of the panelists, and we'll just start.
One thing to add. See, there is something that we don't realize when we are inside the classrooms at ISPP. We do realize the importance of building networks, but after you have been working for some time, you realize that it is not just networks. You actually work through those people. If you don't have people in your network, you won't be able to get your work from point A to point B or from start to finish. Because policy, public affairs, consultancy in this sector, it is all linked through people. As Diksha said it, ki who feeds into who. That is something that you have to know. And obviously, there's a due procedure for everything, but it helps a lot if you know people along the way. Because as a fresher or even with someone with years of experience, you're bound to experience something that is new for you. And you will know require people to guide you at that point. So having a network no, professionally is not just about that you know someone at a position. It is also about someone that you can go to talk to, discuss a problem over. So when we talk about building networks, it is not just about getting to know people. It is also about working through in collaboration with those people.
Just last thoughts from my side would be five things. One would be layer your work, layer your skills. It is extremely important. Second would be network, make friends. Genuinely make friends that are on your speed dial, that are in diverse states, diverse governments. Uh, Third, policies for all. So do not get overwhelmed with the fact that you would have space or you would not have space there. Everyone has space in policy. Policy affects everyone. So don't get overwhelmed with variety of choices and what people are doing. Oh, this profile looks interesting. Policy is for all. Fourth is patience. Please have patience. Policy is a very time-taking process. It can be annoying. It can be soul-taking also. But stay patient. That is where you see how work ends. And fifth, don't miss any opportunity to know how government works. You would not, I don't think any academic institution can teach you how government works. You have to get into it. Step by step, you learn how everything works. And the final advice I have for freshers is, if you get an opportunity to work in a state government, please pick it up. You will have more opportunities to expand your horizons. You would actually learn how a state works, how policy is formed and implemented. So working in state for me worked really well. I have worked with Punjab, UP, and Bihar. So holistically, states are the end points of implementing mega policies, and you learn how government works way quicker in states, is what my experience is. So yeah, I think these five things, if you can take with you at the end of the seminar, the purpose of the seminar would be mostly served.
I think so. Now it's
Thank
my
you.
turn. Thank you, Diksha.
Yes.
I think both of you just covered a lot, so I will just keep it short. But I think what I will add to what Diksha and Aditya said is like one point I think I'll reiterate is where like the sector has space for everyone. So really, like, don't feel that whether you can really be valued as an individual and as a professional in this particular sector. There's a lot to do with or without governments in this sector, because like Prakyat, you mentioned that it's still a niche, it's still an upcoming space for everyone to venture into, and there's just a lot of space that exists. Second thing I think I want to mention is choose wisely, right? Like why I'm saying that is policy, while today consulting is beginning to dominate the landscape of policy, but there's actually a lot more to public policy than just impact consulting and working with governments. There's actually a fulfilling career that one can build as a public policy academician, right? There is public policy advocacy. There is also public policy strategy. And then there's, of course, social impact consulting and working with NGOs and CSOs. So I would just say, like, a lot of times in my experience, I think with young professionals joining firms like GDI and Samagra, there's a lot of, feedback that we also get, that it's very fast paced. We want work-life balance. This is something that, is becoming unsustainable for us. What I would say is know yourself as to what you want to do at what point in time in your life, and then make choices. And it is, I think I would differ in what Diksha said. If you think that today you do not want to work with state governments, don't think that you're not making enough contribution. If you can write well, and if you're writing a great paper or even an article, I think that's a contribution in itself. So value yourself no matter where you are, whichever organization you are with, and whichever subdomain you are with. So like break those notions of, consulting is the only way into public policy, is what I would like to say.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights in this. Two announcements for our audience, that the last date for filling of the form for the PDM course is 15th of July, and the applications for this short Lokniti program is going to be open soon. So with this, I would like to again extend my gratitude. Thank you so much, our esteemed panel and the audience, for taking out time to be here to discuss your doubts with us. And thank you so much, to my seniors, for sharing their insights and experience in the most honest way. And looking forward to meet you again in maybe in the same platform or another, and helping out other people again, and who are still want to get into the field of public policy but a little hesitant about the world of public policy. Thank you for joining us, everyone. With this, I'll wrap it. Thank you.
Thank you.